let's talk about something really important, your action plan for a workplace emergency right here in Utah. Knowing what to do in those first critical moments can, and I mean this, change everything. So let's make sure you're prepared. Just picture it for a second. You're having a totally normal day at work, and then bam, a coworker right near you just collapses. That initial wave of panic hits. Do you know exactly what to do next? It's a tough question, but it's one we all absolutely need to have an answer for. Because seriously, what you choose to do or what you don't do in those first few minutes can make all the difference. That's what we're here for. We're going to cut through the confusion and give you a clear, step-by-step plan so you can act with confidence instead of fear. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at how to respond to a sudden health crisis. Then, we'll switch gears to what happens after a workplace accident. After that, we'll get into the official reporting chain, and we'll wrap up by covering the essential rights that protect you at work. All right, Section 1, a sudden health crisis. Now, this isn't about an injury caused by work itself, but when someone has a medical emergency out of the blue, like they faint, have a seizure, or are in sudden severe pain. So here's your game plan. The very first thing you have to do is take a breath and stay calm. Panicking doesn't help anyone. Before you rush in, check the area to make sure it's safe. Then, your first real action is to call for help. We'll get to the number in a sec. Right after that, let your supervisor know so the company's emergency plan can kick in. And while you wait for help, remember two huge things. Don't move the person unless they're in immediate danger, and only give first aid if you're actually trained. The best thing you can do is just stay with them, be a reassuring presence. And yes, when we say call for help, we mean it. For any emergency that seems life-threatening, someone can't breathe, they're having chest pain, they're unconscious, you call 911. Immediately. Don't second-guess it. Even if you have no idea what to do, the operator on the other end of that line can walk you through exactly what needs to happen. You know, knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. So what can you do? Well, you can apply pressure to a bleeding wound. You can help someone use their own medication, like their inhaler. And you can start CPR if and only if you are trained and it's needed. But the don'ts are critical. Do not move them unless the spot they're in is dangerous. And never, ever give someone else's medication or any pills you have on you. But emergencies aren't always physical. What if you see a coworker going through a severe mental or emotional health crisis? The response here is different, you know? They need specialized help from people who know what they're doing. And that specialized help has its own number, 988. You can call or text it. This connects you directly to trained, compassionate professionals. This is a moment for experts, not for managers or coworkers to try and handle alone. Think of 988 as a lifeline, just as important as 911. Okay, let's switch gears now. We're moving from a general health emergency to something more specific, a physical injury that happens because of the work you're doing. In this case, the procedure has some different, really important steps focused on reporting. So, after an accident, what do? First, safety. Make the area safe so no one else gets hurt. Then, and this is crucial, you have to tell your supervisor immediately. As soon as you've done that, go get the medical care you need. And when you see the doctor or go to the clinic, make sure you tell them this injury happened at work. That little detail is the key to everything that follows. This brings us to immediate reporting. This idea is probably the single most important thing you can do to protect your own interests. It just means you tell your supervisor about any injury right away. It doesn't matter how small it seems. A tiny cut, a slightly tweaked back, report it. This creates the official record you'll need if things turn out to be more serious later. Now, here's something you need to be careful about. Under Utah law, you technically have 180 days to officially report a work injury. But please, do not rely on that. It is a huge mistake. Waiting just makes things harder. Memories get fuzzy, details get lost, and it gives the insurance company a reason to question your claim. The best practice, really the only practice, is to report it the same day it happens, period. So you've told your supervisor. What's next? Well, now a formal, legal process kicks into gear. And this isn't just about company rules. This is about state law. Let's take a look at who's responsible for what. Think of it like a chain of command. Your part, as the employee, is actually pretty simple. You just have to tell your supervisor. Once you've done that, the ball is in your employer's court. They have the legal duty to report the injury to their insurance company, and if it's a serious incident, they have to report it directly to state agencies. And look at how tight these deadlines are for your employer. It really shows you how seriously the state takes this stuff. UOSH, that's the Utah Occupational Safety and Health Division, they have to be notified within just 8 hours if there's a fatality, and within 24 hours for any inpatient hospitalization, amputation, or loss of an eye. These aren't suggestions, they're the law. Which brings us to our final section, and honestly, this is all about empowering you. Knowing the steps is great, but knowing your fundamental rights is what makes sure those steps are actually followed. And these rights are guaranteed to you by law. So what are they? First and foremost, you have the right to a safe and healthy workplace. Full stop. You also have the right to report any hazards you find, and you can do that confidentially, either to your boss or straight to USOSH without worrying about getting in trouble. And finally, you have the right to get training and information about any dangers that come with your job. Knowledge really is safety. So let's just boil this all down to 3 numbers you absolutely need to know. For any immediate, life-threatening physical emergency, you call 911. For a mental or emotional health crisis, your number is 988. And for any questions about your rights or the reporting process, your best source for information is the Labor Commission. You know, when you get right down to it, it all comes back to this one simple idea. Preparation is key to managing emergencies effectively. If you're prepared, you can turn that feeling of panic into a clear plan, and you can turn chaos into calm, focused action. So, I want to leave you with this question. Now that you know the plan, take a look around your own workplace tomorrow and ask yourself, are we really prepared for this? Does my team know these steps? Because knowing the plan yourself is the first step, but making sure everyone you work with knows it, well, that's how you build a real culture of safety.